Welcome to Sportsbook Review. You are watching the Audible. It is Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, which means we have to get to work. And the work is what I need to... I didn't even know how to... I fell apart. I fell apart this weekend, Donnie, in the worst ways. Fell apart. Week 3 of NFL, the bane of my existence. And I'm in a bad way. But there are some looks that I like in week 4. I planned to turn it around, but I took it right in the old drink hole. I took it right in the old prison pocket week 3. Donnie, RightSide. How was your week 3?
Profitable, but on the show only had the one play on Arizona, which went up in flames. So let that be a lesson to you kids out here where you hear people preach, you only bet numbers and not teams. That's a false narrative. We'll get back to work this week, Jimmy. Week 3, look, we know what teams are now. Let's get to work. Let's make some money out here.
I think I've got some angles that I want to take advantage of, but man, did I do a horrible job last week. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We got Pink Eyed Genie, we got Macaroon, we got Robert Weimer in the house, ready to get to work. Walla Dose. Macaroon 99 says Lions North Division future looking juicy at plus 1,200. You know, that was a play we talked quite a bit about. And, the Packers look very dangerous, but still, I wish I had that in my pocket. There's Michael Ervolina, ready to get to work. Brandon Lugo, Dennis Garcia. What a great group. There's Brian Yoler. But first, we have to talk about our records. Donnie, still looking good. Don't put it up quite yet. Let me explain a little bit. Donnie's still looking quite good. And our whale capper has come from the nether regions. I need to do what Whale Capper has done. I need to follow suit here. Whale Capper has come on extremely strong. Whale Capper's hit six straight bets last week to get himself closer to 500, but I am still very far behind. Transparency and honesty. Also, if I end the season down 1 unit, I'll go back to Canada. I'll leave. That's how confident I am that I'm going to finish this season plus units. All right. Freddie, my man, can we pop up the records? It's horrifying. I have the worst possible record. I mean, I can't even imagine the record being worse than what this is going to look like. Oh, God. I'm down double-digit units after 3 weeks. I'm going to smash this glass is what I'm going to do. I'm going to smash it. My ROI right now is minus 41.07%. Very, very, very disappointing. Extremely disappointing. But I got the group ready to go. So let's get myself out of this. Also, we want you guys to check out our SBR's best sportsbook page, the best sportsbook page at SBR. Find yourself reliable books, trusted books. Check it out on sportsbookreview.com. Click on our best sportsbooks page. All right, Donnie RightSide, let's get to work. Capper John says, what is this? You're right. Robert Weimer says the bag should watch this show to get the info he needs to pull it off. Yeah, I get it, Robert Weimer. Okay, let's start with the big Thursday nighter, Packers. I think I'm just going to start staying off Thursday nights. Maybe look for prop bets so that I can have fun while watching it. But, man, Packers open up at minus 3.5. Now there's 5s on the board. Minus 5s on the board. Others are 4.5. This total opened at 47.5, and I'm using Pinnacle opening lines. They're now down to 45 or 45.5. Packers are playing good football. I mean, when was the last time, Donnie, that the strength of the Green Bay Packers was their defense? They're playing good football. And the Eagles in week 4 are in a early season must win. Alshon Jeffrey probable, Arcega-Whiteside questionable, Darby Clement uncertain. Maybe you have more information on what's going on with this beaten up Eagles team. Deshaun Jackson out, Timmy Jernigan out. Packers, Jimmy Graham, questionable. I mean, he's still a red zone threat, but that's about all he is. He can't get separation. Not a big loss for the Packers if he can't go. Every week, the Panthers' offense is getting a little bit stronger. Their defense has been rolling from the start. And the NFC North, 7-0-1 against teams outside of their division. Donnie RightSide, Eagles at Packers, and I know this total's going down, but I have some interest in the over. What's your look on the Thursday nighter?
Yeah, no, the good part about it is, like, you know, we always give out information and what we like. Before the season, I had this as a dead-pegged loss for the Eagles. Still think it is. On Saturday, before the games, Jimmy, even took place on Sunday, I already took the Green Bay Packers at -3, which now we see the 4.5s and the 5s, which is exactly what you thought was going to take place because we had a pretty good read on this football game last week with the Eagles against the Detroit Lions. We had them early in the week, and it didn't matter what number you bet the Detroit Lions at last week. The game was the outright victory for Detroit and the absolute right side. Now you're going to take a team that's going to go on the road on Thursday night. And the one thing we can always preach on the Tuesday show is if you're thinking about betting the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday night on the road, just don't do it. Stay back, hang out, and wait for the games on Sunday, because long term, you're going to cost yourself a lot of money. Now, we take a look at the injured Philadelphia Eagles coming in. Walk through yesterday, walk through today, travel tomorrow. Not a lot of prep time. And you know the Philadelphia Eagles are banged up. I did see Alshon Jeffrey listed as probable for the game with a full participant. But again, they can only measure that based on a walkthrough at practice where nobody's going full speed. I actually thought if the Eagles would be smart this week, Jimmy, they would actually still sit Alshon Jeffrey out, because no matter if Alshon Jeffrey plays or does not play, if Dallas Goedert plays or does not play, the Eagles are going to lose this football game. So just take your 1-3, move on, get healthy. The back at the end of the schedule is very much easier than the first part of the schedule. The Eagles are banged up. And again, just gets back to the point, they're not going to win this football game. So if you're betting the Philadelphia Eagles, donate your money this weekend. I'm a big Eagles fan. I went against the Eagles last week with the Detroit Lions, which is the right move, and it's the right move again. The Eagles are going to lose on Thursday Night Football. Now, will they cover, the 4.5 or the 5 where it's at? That's another story. But if you're betting the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday Night Football, just don't do it, man. Just don't.
The timing is so good, Donnie, because look who's popped in our chat. Whale Capper with Philly plus 4.5. Philly plus 4.5 at plus 104. Big balls on Whale Capper, and it's easy to show off your size of your balls when you've hit 6 in a row like the Whale Capper has. Jack Hargrave says Eagles going to get exposed even more. Torino says the books have overvalued the Eagles all year. Open them at 8 against Detroit. And Robert Weimer says, Donnie with the right advice here. Listen up, Bagman. Hey, look, I'm not going to jump on the Eagles at plus 4.5. I'm very excited that Whale Capper has the balls to do that. Donnie, right side, let's talk total. This total opened up at 47.5. It's now down to 45. Do you think the Eagles banged up, or do you need to wait to hear exactly who's going to be in the lineup before you can decide whether the Eagles can put up any points against this Packers defense?
No, I don't need to wait any longer. The Green Bay Packers are a pretty good defense. But again, you're talking about a team that's going to have limited prep time going on the road in one of the tougher environments against what looks like a pretty good football team out here. I don't see the Eagles lighting it up going up and down the field. Carson Wentz played a hell of a game versus Detroit and got absolutely no help in that football game. Now, you can still argue and say, well, they didn't fumble and do some things. Maybe they would have scored more points, which I do agree with. But if we're looking at 45, what I'm seeing out of Green Bay is more ball control out there on offense. And then what I'm liking from the Green Bay defense, they're able to get pressure on the quarterback. And look, the Eagles are banged up. It's not going to be an easy game. Thursday Night Football, banged up, injured, no time to prep. You can't go over in these football games. Every week it seems like they stay under.
It does. It does. Of course, I was on the under in Philadelphia last week, and that did not come through. Robert Weimer says, I see the Eagles getting lit up here. Wow. Okay, now I know we got to move on to the other games, but Donnie, is this a must-win game for the Philadelphia Eagles?
No, it's not. It's a loss. It's a straight-up loss. I think the Eagles looked on the calendar and said it's a straight-up loss before the season even comes to town. Losing at Green Bay in Green Bay, you almost have to expect it. Now they even have an out clause because of how banged up they are. Nobody expects them to win. So I hear it all the time on the Philadelphia radio. Hey, you never know in football. No, you know what we know? Teams that go on the road on Thursday night get slaughtered. That's what we know. So we'll stick to that.
All right, 66 Fahrenheit at Lambeau, 13 miles per hour is the wind. Okay, let's move on to the first game on the Sunday card. That would be the Panthers at Texans. The Panthers, man, Cam Newton has not been good since they lost the Super Bowl. And Kyle Allen passed his first road test with flying colors. Very impressed with Kyle Allen. Let's take a look at what we're dealing with here. Houston opening up at -5, now -4s across the board. The total opened at 46, still at 46 at Pinnacle, 46.5 everywhere else. Jin Rummy joining us says, I'll wait Eagles for +6. Wow, that's Jin Rummy. Jin Rummy's so good reading the market and getting his advantages when they hook up with what his model is telling him to do. Great to have Jin Rummy in the chat. Love that. G. Moore says, right on. Tough one for Philly. Torino says the NFC is still wide open. And Whale Capper says, except the Eagles. Except the Eagles. Except the Eagles on Thursday. I can't wait for that game now that I know Whale Capper's on the road team. Going against the notion that we have to stay away from road teams. I love it. It's exciting. And he's won 6 straight. Panthers, Texans 1-0 at home. Kyle Allen looked good. Smart decisions, accurate throws. And if you remember him out of high school, I mean, this guy was the number 1 recruit out of high school in America. So, things got more difficult for him than I guess he had expected in college. But now he looked very, very good. Very, very good last week. Defensively, the Panthers are good when they're not on the field all game long. And this Texans team just continually plays down to the level of their competition. Carlos Hyde was a great pickup. We know they have the best wide receiver in the NFL. Arguably, I would say they have the best wide receiver in the NFL. To me, I wish that I got on at 5. I would take Carolina at +5 right now, Donnie. At 4, I'm a little hesitant, but it's Panthers or nobody for me in this spot. Donnie, RightSide, Panthers Texans.
You know what's interesting? Coming on the air last week, ripping the hell out of Bill O'Brien. Then they go on the road and play a gem. Everything looks like it was in working order. DeAndre Hopkins is amazing. Your quarterback's making play. Your defense is coming up with timely stops. And then we come back to this game because you see what you get on the road and you say, oh my goodness. No Cam Newton in the lineup, and they actually have a well-oiled machine on offense. Now, granted, it's the Arizona Cardinals, but still impressive to put up, over 30 points on the road and blow a football team out playing as the underdog. But I do think it's a little bit of a change here because you're going from a team in Arizona Cardinals who's coach never won anything, quarterback never won anything, and they end up getting blown out. Now you're looking at a team in Houston that's coming home, still think they can vie for the division, maybe make a run in the playoffs, and you're going to get a team that's a little bit higher on it. It's like, whoa, what a deep breath we just took here. Boy, quarterback played really well. This is going to be an entirely different defense and an entirely different offense that's going to come at you from Houston's perspective. I do think if I'm looking at the game, I want to see where this line possibly ends up. I would be hard-pressed, though, Jimmy, because we'll take a look at SBRodds.com. Pinnacle -4, Chris -4 offshore, DraftKings out of New Jersey 4.5. You're more likely to see this game reestablish itself at 5 than maybe drop to a 3.5. So if you like the Houston Texans now early in the weekend, it's a 4. Take the 4 because I don't think you're going to get any better than that.
That's an interesting look. Take the 4 now if you want the Texans. I have a sneaking suspicion that Kyle Allen and Deshaun kind of started a little slower in this game. I actually have interest in the first half under, full game over as a little prop bet to make. What's your feel on this total? Robert Weimer says total seems low for this game.
No, it actually does to me because I think you're seeing a new Carolina offense that's saying, hey, if we can put a quarterback that can actually throw the football, we can move it. You have an explosive running back, Christian McCaffrey. You have some wide receivers that are built on catches and runs, and you have a quarterback that's delivering the goods out here. And also, when you take a look at the opposite side, I know there was a lot of sacks that the Carolina Panthers had on defense. I don't think their defense is as good as it showed last week with those explosive plays from the front 7. So I think there are plays to be made. But I'm still under that bias. Like it's almost like I can't ever get a feel, Jimmy, on the Houston Texans, what they're supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do. For all, could you see this game in the fourth quarter? Like, hey, man, Carolina's in it. It's 17-16 Carolina late in this game, and Houston's taking sacks on offense. It's a game that I probably won't be in my repertoire this weekend, but if I had to make a play on it and I want to jump the line, I would take Houston at 4 here.
Okay, would take Houston at 4. Dennis Garcia, my guy Dennis Garcia, incredible thoroughbred capper, great NFL capper. Thank you for joining us. Dennis says, betting Houston as chalk makes me want to puke. That's what Dennis Garcia says. Tom Marino says, Carolina pass defense still trash. They just look good against Murray. And Brian Yoler says, Carolina gets killed. And Tom Marino says, Kawan Short missed last week. That's a huge injury. If he's out again, he's not on the injury report as we speak right now. Let's move on to Browns-Ravens. Browns-Ravens. Ravens opened up at -6. They're now -7. -7.5 at 5 dimes at plus money. This total opened up at 46. There's still 46s on the board, but also 45.5. 88 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 7 miles per hour, not a lot of wind, beautiful temperature in Baltimore. I am interested in this under, Donnie, RightSide. Let's talk about these two teams. Freddie Kitchens does not look good. If you watch his press conferences this week, it just feels like he's in over his head. Harbaugh will have the Ravens prepared, and Kitchens is in for it if he's not ready to go against the Harbaugh-led team. The Browns should be better. If you look at their roster, they should be better than they've been playing 1-2 on the season. The Browns team will be the best defense Baltimore has seen. Myles Garrett gets better every week, and the Ravens were very impressed. They impressed me against the Chiefs, and so did Lamar Jackson. He got out of trouble in some spots where I thought he was going to go down. He looked very good. I'm interested in this under, Donnie RightSide, Browns, Ravens. I also, if I got a free play on the side, would take the Ravens. But I'm interested in this under, Donnie RightSide, Browns, Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, take a look. What has Cleveland shown you on offense the first 3 games? Game 1 against Tennessee, absolute stink. Game 2 against the New York Jets, absolutely stunk. Game 3 against the Rams on offense, absolutely stunk. So what's going to change, between Freddie Kitchens and that dynamic between Baker Mayfield? You lose Njoku, so you lose another, I'm going to say, dominant tight end, but at least a playmaker that can stretch defenses. And then you're saying, okay, it's the Odell Beckham. I think what we're seeing here is Jarvis Landry is really overvalued coming out of Miami as an overall playmaker. You thought it might open it up a little bit more, but teams are just going to rotate their coverage down to Odell Beckham. And these two teams know each other, divisional foes. If we're taking a look at the 46, now what I would preface by saying, I would like this under even more if later in the week we see some practice out of Greedy Williams and Denzel Ward, the two defensive backs that missed the football game, including the entire secondary in the previous game. I don't like what I see out of the offense this weekend or the past couple weeks from the Cleveland Browns. So moving forward, I would lean to an under, but I still like what I'm getting out of the Baltimore Ravens. I thought they played well outside of their coach being an absolute idiot going for two every single play and completely ruining his team's chances to win that football game. I still like what I see. But if this is at 7, it's a division game. Boy, I liked it a lot better, Jimmy, when it was at 6.5. But this has a lot to do. It's one of these games where we tee it up on a Tuesday, but we got to see these practice reports as it goes throughout the week with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, people on other sides here. Robert Weimer saying the Clowns have the Ravens number the last few years. Clowns come together and the game flies over the total, which scared me. But then we had some people leaning towards the under. Tom Marino says, I lean under. Cleveland's seen Jackson now. They should be better prepared for him if their secondary is healthy. And that's the point that Donnie made. We need to know if their secondary is healthy. And Larry Savage said Fred Kitchen is no bueno, and that is absolutely right. My guy Pink Eye Genie in the house says Cleveland played them well in Baltimore last game of the year with a worse team. Lean Cleveland. Dennis Garcia says both teams are in letdown spots. Cleveland had the Sunday Night Football home game versus NFC champs. Baltimore appeared to put a lot into that KC game. You're right, Dennis Garcia. That's a nice comment as well. All right, so no moves made as of yet by Donnie or myself. Let's talk Redskins Giants here. 78 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 9 miles per hour in New York on Sunday. Giants opened up a -2.5. They're still there, but threes are on the board now. Threes are on the board. This total opened up at 46.5 and is now at 49. Yes, Daniel Jones looked so good. So I was on the Buccaneers -6.5. It was 28-10 first half. And I really thought when Saquon went out, I was in business. Thought it could be an ugly second half for the Giants. And credit Daniel Jones. He was spectacular, and he had them believing. And he's clearly playing with a chip on his shoulder. But the Saquon Barkley injury hurts bad. And they're going to feel that injury now when a team can prepare to go up against them without Saquon. Case Keenum looked awful against the best defense in the NFL. He's going to look better against the Giants, unless it's Haskins times, which I wouldn't be against at this point with how bad Keenum looked against the best defense in the NFL. I actually don't agree with this market move. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it, Donnie, because at 49, I think this is a recency bias in effect, and I think that the under could be maybe my play, depending on your breakdown of this game. Donnie RightSide, Washington, New York.
This is the game of the week where I love to break down in the National Football League, Jimmy, because it rings every bell that I like to say, you know what, I'm going to do my homework on this one, because you watch the football game and you watch the Redskins over the first 3 games. Hey, man, team stinks. Absolutely stinks. So what's the last thing you see out of the New York Giants? Oh, my goodness, they got a quarterback. Look at the way they move the football. Now they're playing the stinky Washington Redskins at home. But if we do our homework on this game, the Washington Redskins got the healthy Philadelphia Eagles on the road. They're not winning that football game. Then they got the Dallas Cowboys, and NFC power this year. They're going to be a really good football team, as is coming into the year. They got those guys. And then, they play the Chicago Bears, who have the best defense maybe the past 15, 20 years in the NFL that they had to play last night. You can't pick a worse 3 games to go up against. Now you get to take a breather. You get to look at the Giants' defense. Stinks across the front line. And Alex Ogletree, their best linebacker, maybe only playmaker on that defense, going to miss this football game with a hamstring injury. Who's making plays? Case Keenum's actually going to be able to step back, Jimmy, take a 5-step drop, look around, and take a deep breath and go, oh, my goodness. Finally playing a football team that's not going to kill me, and my guys are going to be wide open because there's no playmakers. I love this football game early in the week. The only thing that's giving me a little bit of pause, and the reason I haven't taken the Washington Redskins +3 yet, I need to see the 2 offensive line injuries that they got last night. I need to see them on the practice reports. I need to see them playing this week. But I got to tell you, early in the week, Jimmy, I am lined up on the Washington Redskins in one of those sneaky roles this week that says, the Giants look good. They were really down 28-10 at the half. What football team are you going to get? I'll take it and go against the rookie quarterback. The only way I wouldn't do it is if they put Dwayne Haskins in for the Washington Redskins. They put Haskins in, it's going to be a Giants day all over. But if Case Keenum stays in, he'll actually get time to throw. And that Giants defense ain't making no plays this week. I like Washington here if I can get that 3 and I get a healthy report come the end of the week.
I can't wait to see if you pull the trigger. Brian Yoler feeling the same way. He says, Redskins win this game outright. They played a healthy Philly, Dallas, and Chicago. Everyone high on Daniel Jones. Redskins will beat them straight up. Thank you for joining us, TJ Parks in the house. We got Jake Bell rolling with us as well. I feel like this under is a spot to take. It's now at 49.5 at Heritage. Do you think we see 50s, or do you think this comes back down, Donnie?
I can't imagine. Can you imagine this game going in the 50s? I mean, look, what I'm saying, the Washington Redskins, are they going to explode, or are they going to go back and forth? Because when you really look at it, there's not a ton of playmakers on either one of these teams out here, right? So are we going to go in as gunslingers in this game, or is the Washington's probably going to approach the game like, hey, we can actually win this game? And the same thing for the Giants. That doesn't mean like, hey, we're 10-point dogs. Let's just let it fly out here and see what happens. Divisional game, man. I would lean towards under 50 early. I'm not going to lie. I'm with you.
Totally. And then like the over is getting steam. So in the last hour, we've seen a 7-cent move towards the over 49 at Pinnacle. It was 49 at minus 104 at 1 o'clock. So an hour and 22 minutes ago here in Costa Rica time, we've seen a 7-cent move to the over. There's going to be a 49.5 there very soon. There's already a 49.5 at Heritage. Let's just take a quick peek at what Heritage. I'm here on sportsbookreview.com, SBR odds page. The best thing is that you can go into each and every book, whatever book you choose, to see when the movements happen. And look at this. It's all today, Donnie, today at 7:16 this morning, it was 46.5. And it's just getting hammered. And now it's at 49.5. I mean, I'm going to make a move on this under. I will lock it in on my show, which comes about half an hour after this show here on Betting with the Bag. Brandon Lugo says that total's 49.5. Wow, that's high. So I'm going to keep an eye on what Pinnacle's doing with this market. I'm going to get in right now. And I also think that the Giants are going to keep taking money. I think they're going to keep taking money. I think we're going to get a better +3 from the Redskins in a couple days. Now, it seems, if you trust Jay Gruden, it sounds like it's Keenum again. But I guess it does make sense just to wait for the offensive line injuries to come in. But if those two studs on the offensive line are hurt, then this under is going to be even easier to hit.
Yeah, correct.
So, okay, I'm gonna make a move on this under today for sure. I agree with you. I don't think we see 50. As soon as I see one sniff that it's coming back down, I'm gonna fire right away. Okay, let's move on to Chargers at Dolphins. Donnie, another wonderful opportunity to cap the Miami Dolphins. What a bunch of bums. Chargers opening up at minus 16.5. They're still there. There's actually been a 7-cent move towards the Dolphins at Pinnacle. If you want 16.5 right now, you get plus 102. You get a plus line at Pinnacle. Bookmakers already moved to 16, as has Heritage, UWager, Bet365. This total's opened up at 44.5, and it has stayed there. The Chargers have not looked good, and Rosen is now questionable for the Fish. I know this is a low total, but I do like the under. The Chargers have not been firing on all cylinders offensively, and we have 17-mile-per-hour winds in this game. 86 Fahrenheit, sunny, 17-mile-per-hour winds on Sunday. Donnie, right side, Chargers, Dolphins.
Yeah, keep in mind, though, when you're taking a look at Miami, not the true open-air stadium. We were there, Jimmy. Got that little canopy up there, so the wind doesn't really affect it all that much on the field. But if there is rainy conditions, there is a hole in the ceiling, so we'll do that. But I like the way the Miami Dolphins now look. They stink. Straight up, they stink. And over the course of, it seems like 4 quarters, they just can't hang in there. But they hung in with the New England Patriots, Jimmy, in the first half. What was it, 13-0 at the half? They actually didn't get the cover in the Patriot game. I believe that closed at like 12 or 12.5. But look at last week going on the road against Dallas, 10-6. And they actually had the ball first and goal inside the 10-yard line and ended up fumbling the football away. But it was still a 10-6 game at the half. Looking at this coming in with the first half line this weekend, Jimmy, 9.5 the Miami Dolphins are getting at home. I think they'll come out and play hard, which they have been doing over the past first halves outside of that completely blowout loss against the Baltimore Ravens. I like that look, but they deserved the cover last week. They were getting 20.5, 21, whatever they were getting last week, and then they let it slip because when you have a team that's not productive and doesn't have a lot of talent, you slowly get bled throughout the football game and a late cover by the Dallas Cowboys. I'm hard-pressed to take the Miami Dolphins full game, but I got to tell you, they got some fight in the first half, and if you're going to give me 9.5 at home, I'm going to lean on that because you're right. When you look at the Chargers offense, it's not a quick strike, blast away offense. I think the Dolphins can hang around in the first half, but I'm giving up on taking the Dolphins full game. The talent just wins out in the NFL, and they don't have very much of it.
Very interesting spot. Thomas says Chargers should be 3-0. They keep beating themselves, but I'm not laying 16.5 with an inconsistent team. Robert Weimer says Miami's getting better. but take the Chargers. They will score 30. Miami lucky to get 10. Also, Robert Weimer thinking that total in the Giants-Redskins game will get to 50. Okay, Rob, I'll wait. I will wait and keep an eye. And as soon as I get a sniff that's coming back down, I'll make a move. Brody, my guy Brody says Dolphins plus 16.5 is the sharp play here, Jimmy. I asked him if he's already on it. He said, yes, I really feel like the line's going to go closer to 15 by kickoff. I think you're quite likely right in that situation. Yeah. Macaroon says maybe the only game to take the Fins all season. Lots of travel for he says SC, but for the Chargers. And they play the Broncos the following week. Dennis Garcia said Cowboys didn't try last week, still covered against Miami. Larry Savage says Chargers struggled to move the ball. Says, yep, Chargers ain't beating anyone by 16. What do you think of this total, Donnie RightSide? It's at 44 right now, 44.5, excuse me, but it has dropped to 44 at a couple books.
You know what? I like it. And I didn't even look at it to start the week, but now taking more and just talking just simple concepts about the game. The Chargers aren't going to go up and down the field, I wouldn't think, because they're going to play a little bit closer to the Vestas team. They can't gun it out because when you take a look at the Miami offense, doesn't matter who they put at quarterback, they can barely move the football and score. Like if the Dolphins show up with 14 points, like hallelujah, that team really played well this week. And we're 45, 46 in that range. No way, man. Give me the under.
I do. I like the under. And I would prefer the under than to have the Dolphins. And I agree, taking the Dolphins first half might be a better look. But I think the under is in play. And I'm going to put an extra couple asterisks to it. Larry Savage has a 28-14 Chargers win, which would give me the under. 44.5 isn't nice. Devin Rivera liking Chargers first half. Tormio says Chargers need this game. I'd lean under. I don't see them staying aggressive with the lead. I agree with that. This is a move that must be made, and I'm going to make it on the Late Show today. I think it's a move. We got to get those 44.5s because they're coming down. It's coming down. In fact, you know what? I'm just going to lock it in right here. I'm going to lock it in line shopping. Let's go to totals. I'm going to lock in this under right now. Locking in the Miami Chargers under. I'm getting 44.5 at minus 114. That's at Pinnacle. There's a 115 at Bookmaker, 117 at BetOnline. I'm getting 44.5 at minus 114. I'm locked in, my first play of the week. Okay, let's move on to Raiders Colts. And the Colts are starting to roll. It feels like they've gotten over the shock of losing Luck. And now they're looking at Brissett going, you know what? This guy can make plays for us. The Colts are looking very good. I almost wish that I had hammered some. So it was very interesting. We had Dave Mason on the show on Betting with the Bag a few weeks ago, and he talked about how as soon as that Chargers win total went down to 6.5, it started getting hammered to the over. And great bets for those who made it. This is still a very good football team. Shocking that you could have got 6.5, and shocking that I didn't realize the opportunity. I guess I was stunned by the Luck retirement as well. Let's see what we're dealing with. Raiders, Colts. Raiders on this tough road trip. Things are just going to get worse for the Oakland Raiders. Open at -7 to -102. It's now -7 to +104, and there are 6.5s on the board. 6.5s at Bookmaker, BetOnline, and Heritage. This total at 44.5. It opened there. It's been a 4-cent move to the over at Pinnacle. 45s are on the board. 45.5 at Heritage. Oakland got destroyed by a very talented Vikings squad, but Jacobs is hurting. He's not 100%. 10 carries for 44 yards. I think the Colts beat this team up badly. I think they beat them up badly, and I'm happy that there's 6.5s on the board. I want to take the Colts here. I want to back the Colts, and is there a reason why I should take more time on this spot, or should I hammer the Colts now that there's 6.5s on the board, Donnie?
It's hard to build a case with the Oakland Raiders, especially on the road. And when we did the Audible all summer long, Jimmy, we were previewing some of these teams and some of these divisions. We all pointed to this stretch saying, dude, Oakland's going to have a tough time being on the road for this long. And it's not a team that's particularly equipped to be on the road. And they're probably not going to be challenging for much what they open up with a team total around 6. This is going to be a tough spot. But the only reason that gives me a little bit of pause early in the week, because I don't know, but what are we looking at? SBR odds, that's 6.5. That's a key number. And 7, obviously, if it gets there, is a really key number. But moving forward toward the week, you're going to be down a little bit of guys in the secondary for the Colts. But the one thing that really gives me pause, because when I want to cover, a touchdown or more in a football game, I want to make sure my big weapons are healthy and ready to go. And as you saw last week at the half, going down T.Y. Hilton with that quad injury, Are they going to press him this week? They can win this football game without T.Y. Hilton or putting in more danger for the regular season, maybe rest him up for a week or two. That's the only thing that gives me pause early in the week. If T.Y. Hilton's going to be a go, there should be no reason why the Indianapolis Colts don't go out here and win by a touchdown or more. But if you take away that explosive play at the wide receiver position, now you're looking at more extended drives. Maybe it leaves the Raiders in the game longer. T.Y. Hilton's going to play a pretty big part in this game for me if I'm looking to take the Colts to cover by more than a touchdown here, Jimmy.
Yes, and the chat saying the same sorts of things and telling me to hold off. Thomas says I'd lean Colts, but I think could be a flat spot for the Colts off the big win. Brody says T.Y. Hilton looking like he will be out this Sunday, which could definitely help the confidence of a struggling secondary for the Raiders. Stay away from this, Jimmy. Robert Weimer leaning to the under because of the running game for the Colts. Sports 78 said Colts play down to the level of their competition. He's teasing Oakland to plus 14 along with the Baltimore money line. Torino says Colts offense struggled after Hilton went out, after T.Y. went out. But Larry Savage says Colts cover the points. You know what? And Alex Ramirez joining us. Thank you so much, Alex Ramirez, star of the Spidey play of the day. Nice to have you, Alex Ramirez. If T.Y. Hilton is out and this goes down to 5 or 4.5, I mean, it's going to be very hard for me not to jump on the Colts. But I will hold off at this point. Let's move on to Chiefs Lions. Okay, Donnie, first off, I want to jump on this over as soon as possible. Open at 53.5. It's 54 everywhere except Pinnacle, still hanging at 53.5. I've been impressed with this Lions offense. We talk about the issues that the Eagles were having. I still think that Eagles defense is good, despite the injury trouble that the team is facing. And the Lions put up points against the tough Eagles team in Philly. And this Chiefs offense is unstoppable. Tyreek Hill's out. They haven't skipped a beat. I think that I like the Chiefs to cover as well, but I really like the over here and want to make it as soon as possible. Donnie, RightSide, Chiefs, Lions. Do you like this over, and is there a side move that you're thinking of making?
You know what's interesting? Like, don't we get these teams every year that, like, you know, we like to fade, or the Sharps like to fade? Like, we all saw a couple years ago, like, they take the Cleveland Browns every week. There's a lot of value, and they get smoked every week. Or we're going to fade New England every week, and New England just continually wins and just racks up, you know, big point spread victories. It seems like we're getting this with Jacksonville. What did we see the first week of the season? Oh, my goodness, watch out for Jacksonville. They're going to get Kansas City. Blowout winner. Oh, my gosh, interdivision. The Raiders look good on Monday Night Football. They might be able to play. Tyreek Hill's out. Blowout. And for the majority of the game versus the Ravens, it was a blowout. They were clearly the better football team than the Baltimore Ravens. And I see it open up this week. I'm saying, oh, look at that. 6.5. Probably going to go to 7. Now we see the 6.5s go to 6. But I'm not understanding what we're watching here. Like, they're playing chess out here, the Kansas City offense, compared to everybody else playing checkers. And now we're going to say the Detroit Lions, who come in, who got a lot of help in Philadelphia. Again, when you're going to play the Philadelphia Eagles with no weapons, you're looked a lot better on defense. Darius Slay running in the second half of that football game pulls his hamstring. So now you're going to tell me my best cornerback is going to be out of the football game, and I'm going to go against on turf with the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't see it. Now, looking at the total maybe early in the week, I don't know what the avenue that the Detroit Lions are going to play. They're going to really slow it down. Is Stafford going to be, 3-yard and out every single play and try to milk the clock so Kansas City can get out there? But it doesn't seem like Kansas City cares. They're on full blast the entire football game. I don't understand the live move down to 6. Hey, sharp play, take Detroit. They look good. Until Kansas City shows me they're not going to hang like a 35 spot on somebody or just do whatever they want on offense, I can't fade him at this point. I don't understand the line move, even though it's really square from 6.5 to 6. I don't see it right now, Jimmy.
What do you think of this total with Slay likely not in the lineup?
I mean, look, Kansas City games are not meant to stay under the total. And if they do, it's because the other team just couldn't perform or couldn't hang with them. But when you start the football game with Kansas City, it's automatically in the high 20s. They say, all right, Kansas City's got 28. If the Kansas City plays poorly, they already have 28 points on the board. If they play well, it's 39. It's 45 points on the board. I can't take an under in a Kansas City football game. I just can't do it.
Well, I'm jumping in with the last 53.5 available. I'm taking the over in Chiefs Lions right now. I'm going to lock this in at Pinnacle. My guy Jin Rummy already on it at 53.5, and I don't see this opportunity. I think it's going to be gone. Over 53.5 at minus 114. I am locking in my second play on this card. Over 53.5 at minus 114. Lock it in. And I do want the Chiefs. Anthony's saying if it gets to 7, he's going to back the Lions. And I want the Chiefs here. I want the Chiefs bad, but I'm not going to I don't feel like I need to beat a line movement as we see money coming in on the Lions right now to cover. This is a perfect, would you say, Donnie, this is a perfect spot to sell high on these Lions and fade them?
I mean, we talked about it over the summer. We thought the Detroit Lions would be able to hang in there on a team total. I still think they would, but you're right. Like, let's take a look at what they've done. All right, they beat the Chargers on the road, not the greatest offense. They almost lost the football game and went to overtime, which they blew a big lead against Arizona, and they played Philadelphia with two hands and one leg tied behind their back. Yes, they're getting a full blast football team coming into play them this weekend. There's not going to be any, hey, the rookie's learning at quarterback, or hey, look at this team. They have no wide receivers that we can even have to worry about here in the secondary. And again, Slay being down versus this offense is horrible timing for Detroit. I think it's a game that looks like, to me, towards Kansas City. Don't care if 80% of the money on SBRodds.com is actually against the team I'm looking at here. I think it's a victory for Kansas City.
Do you think that the Chiefs will often be setting themselves up for backdoor covers from the opposition? Do you think that if we want to focus on this Chiefs, if we're going to try to make money that we can really count on with this Chiefs squad, that we should focus on first halves? I mean, there's no 3 on the board, but 3.5 right now. Do you think that's a way of focusing the knowing that these Chiefs are going to get off to fast starts?
Yeah, and it's a good point you bring up, too, because the defense, and again, they don't care about Kansas City doesn't care about the spread. So if they're up double digits, hey, take all the time you need to score this touchdown. And what a great team that you would have with the Baltimore Ravens, just needing it. Hey, we'll give you a touchdown. Lamar Jackson's going to score every single time. Well, Matthew Stafford's a quality quarterback that can do the same thing. So it's a pretty good point you bring up. I would be surprised, because if Kansas City's going to win and cover this game, Jimmy, they're going to be up a touchdown at the break. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. I'm not going to make a move there yet. Just going to lock in that over 53.5 ride with my guy, Jin Rummy. Of course, Jin Rummy got it. What did he get it at, man? He's so good at getting ahead of these market moves. He got it at minus 106. He's so good. Okay, let's keep rolling. And thank you for leading by example, Jin Rummy. Okay, Patriots at Bills. Let's take a look at what we're dealing with here. God, we are so excited about this game north of the border. And the Bills, this is the test, right? You get to see, you have the Patriots come to Orchard Park. We are so excited about this football game. Bills open up plus 7.5. It's now 7. They're 7s. They're still plus 7.5 at Bovada, minus 115, and at 5 times minus 135. Sorry, let's go to get spreads and totals here. We want them both up. Here we go. This total opened up at 43.5. It's now down to 42.5. 74 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 10 miles per hour is the wind. Both of these teams have not faced much. Josh Allen could easily get eaten up by this Patriots defense. And I'm thinking of making a move on the under, but it's low enough for me to be concerned. Josh Gordon looks very good. Dorsett looked great. Bills will have their hands full. Brady gets the ball out so quickly. Robert Weiner loving the under here. And Walla Walla Doe says New England all day. I was talking to my friend who thinks this is a great spot to back New England, but I know how hard we play them in Buffalo. Donnie, right side, Patriots, Bills. Do you have any lean towards a side or a total?
This is such a good game. And, being from Philadelphia, passionate fans, which we finally got our Super Bowl a couple years ago. Buffalo fans deserve this. Is there a bigger event in town outside of, like, in the 70s, the French Connection for the Sabres, or Hasek throughout the 90s, or even that nice run of 4 Super Bowl, appearances by Jim Kelly? The fans deserve this up in Buffalo. That place is going to be rocking. And the good part about this game is you're catching New England at exactly the time you want to catch them. Say, Donnie, ludicrous. Look at the games New England's played. They've blown everybody out. But you have to take it inside the numbers. Look, we saw the Pittsburgh Steelers on opening night, completely underwhelming. And Pittsburgh Steelers since opening night, completely underwhelming. You also saw the New England Patriots play the Jets. Yes, they killed the Jets. Jets didn't even score an offensive point. I get that. But it's still the Jets, one of the worst offenses out here with a third-string quarterback. And they also got the Miami Dolphins as well. The one thing, I just wish the Buffalo Bills had a little bit more explosive offense to try to take advantage and move the football up and down the field, because New England is loaded on defense, and I love the way they play. But just looking at it early in the week, you're seeing it. We even had 7.5s pop up after the football game on Sunday. Now back to 7. Buffalo is going to be a real live dog. You have Julian Edelman who's actually hurt in this football game. He's going to play. He's a tough guy. But again, banged up at the ribs. There's no more Gronkowski. You're down a couple offensive linemen. Your switchblade fullback's going to be out for this game. If there's one game that Buffalo should be, I'm not even talking about winning. They're getting 7 at home. Should be able to cover. It's this football game. This is a Super Bowl in Buffalo. And yes, looking at the over-under in this football game, both of these teams can get after it on defense. Much more conservative on offense. I would lean towards the under. But I got to say, early in the week, Jimmy, I'm looking forward to those Buffalo Bills here staying within that 7.
It's going to be such a fun game. I can't wait to watch it. What do you think about jumping on this under? Alex Ramirez says, Jimmy, under Bills. Under. Play that hard. What do you think about hammering this under? We've had some other cappers that are already on the under. Where is it? Some other guys that Dennis Garcia says, I'm a Bills believer. I already bet the under at 43.5. Robert Weimer, big game for the Bills here. Love the under. Why don't we jump on this under now?
No, you're right. 42, and it's always hard because we even had it last year saying, it's so hard to bet unders. And the fact that one thing that actually does hurt is that you saw like the conference call with the NFL where holding penalties are down now substantially. Would have been nice if we could know that, you know what, they're going to keep calling holding penalties for maybe some of these plays to come back. But looking at the Buffalo Bills' perspective on offense, Jimmy, you saw them go up against a Cincinnati team that really not that good on defense. 17 points to actually score in that football game. Now you're going up against an upper echelon team. And the same thing can be said for the New England Patriots. You're going up against an upper echelon defense. This game is more likely to me, Jimmy, to play that 21-17 final, staying right around that 40-ish number. But you have very little room for error when you're dealing with 42.5. If I'm looking at it early in the week, I think the game's more likely to stay under than actually go over. But it's so tough taking those in the lower 40s. 47s, 46.5 is a lot easier to taken for me.
No doubt. It says here on sportsreview.com that, wow, it is. Bet365, the only book hanging at 43 still. Man, that's, find that appealing. So give me an idea of what you think this Patriots offense is going to do to this Bills defense. I mean, the Bills have not been tested yet. And the Patriots, as you talk about, Edelman dealing with an injury, it looks like he's going to play, but dealing with an injury. Do you think this Patriots, like, if I gave you a Patriots team total of 24, would you take the over or the under?
It's such a good number you put it on because that means you probably have to get 27 points. I would take the under, but if we're looking at the Patriots, 21.5, 22s, it's really hard regardless of who the Patriots play that they would stay under that number. That's a pretty good number you picked out at 24. If it's 24, I actually would stay under the total because I think it's going to stay in that 21-17 type range.
And what is your expectation of this number that we're dealing with? So it opens at 43.5. We have one book, which happens to be my book, hanging in the 43. Then we have a ton of 42.5s. What is your expectation come Friday on this total?
Yeah, I mean, look at SBRodds.com. What do we open up? At Chris offshore 44, 43.5, now down to 42.5. I wouldn't probably jump on the 42.5, but if it's 43, I think there's more likely a chance. Most people like to bet overs and say, hey, that's a really low number. I'm going to take it. Look what they can do in the past. I don't think there's basically what I'm saying, Jimmy. I don't think there's much value in 42.5 right now. I would sit it out and wait. If it goes to 41.5, I'll just wipe my hands clean of it there. But if you can get that 43.5 or even higher late in the week, I think that would be worth your while and wait it out. Because if it drops, I would just say, you know what? It wasn't meant to be anyway. But if it does go higher, I might have some interest in that later in the week.
Superior Eco saying Allen is a turnover monster. I expect them to play as clean football as possible, not put themselves in any danger. I'm very interested in this under 43 that's being hung, but I'm not going to pull the trigger right now. Okay, let's move on to Titans-Falcons right now. Titans-Falcons. Oh, did that Keanu Neal injury hurt, man? Oh, God. It's a tough sport, and seeing him go down again really hurt. Really hurt, from just a fan place, but also from a guy who's got tickets on the Falcons in his pocket. Really, really hurts. Matty Ryan looked better, 29-34, 304 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick against the Colts in week 3. But, man, that pick was awful. He's just, I don't know what's going on with him. He's got the jitters in the red zone, which I don't think I've ever said about Matt Ryan. The Falcons should cover, but the question comes, do you trust these Atlanta Falcons? And I can't say that I do. And also, these are the types of games that the Titans come up and surprise you when they're 4-point dogs, down to 3.5, open at 5. This total open at 46. It's still 46 across the board. There's a couple 45.5s there, a couple 45.5s. Vrabel told reporters Friday that there's no look for a quarterback change yet. And I mean, we have career low marks in completion rate and QBR from Mariota. How long are you going to wait? I mean, Tannehill's just got to be chomping at the bit. This is the most talented supporting cast he's ever had, and he looks awful. I mean, where's that guy? Where's that guy from Oregon? Where is he? I can't see him when I'm watching out there. I mean, he can't even get A.J. Brown the ball, but I don't want to trust the Falcons here. I do think that there could be points, I have a problem. I have a vividness bias of offense in Atlanta, and maybe I need to shake that off. I have some interest in this over 46. Donnie, right side, Titans, Falcons.
Jimmy, I think we're all in the same boat when you take a look at the Atlanta Falcons. More of that team, if they're getting 4 points on the road, say, Julio Jones late may be able to get that cover, but nothing inspires me from that coaching staff, from Matt Ryan, from being a front runner where Atlanta's going to run away with this football game because we already know the Tennessee Titans. What do they want to do? Play really good defense, run Henry up the middle, get Mariota out of the pocket. They were at a real disadvantage playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had played very well in defense. You got a little bit of rain and elements out there, and they were completely shook at that point. Once they fumbled the ball inside the 5-yard line, you can just feel the air out of the balloon for Tennessee. I think it'll be a little bit different this week. You get that extra time to prepare. You're going in on a dome. Mariota should be able to make some plays with his feet. They should be able to run the football against a smaller front seven from the Atlanta Falcons. And it just comes down to it easily, Jimmy. I don't trust Atlanta. And you're asking Atlanta to win the game by a touchdown here. I don't even trust them to win the football game, let alone by a touchdown or around that range. Early in the week, I'm leaning towards the points here with the Tennessee Titans.
I understand why you would. And these are the types of games that the Titans step up. What do you think about this total at 46, Donnie?
Yeah, it's hard because, some teams really play into the total. Like when we talk about like the San Francisco 49ers or when we take a look at Kansas City, they just have an MO of teams that would like to go over, at least press the issue. If Tennessee gets a lead here, Jimmy, are they pressing it? Or are they saying, you know what, we're going to go even slower now at this point? Or Atlanta at this point. Like Matt Ryan just hasn't looked like himself. And 46 with Tennessee, I actually would lean towards under early in the week here.
Seems like the market's sort of in that direction. Matt Cruz says, don't forget the extra prep time for the Titans. Pink Eye Genie says, got a meeting here soon. Arizona +5 is a spot that he likes this week. Says, loser win, they cover this one. Division game, we always play the Hawks close. Maybe we get it at +6 at the kickoff. Red Sea rise up. Love that, Pink Eye Genie. Thank you for coming in and taking the time when you have a meeting coming up. Means the world to us. Great guy. Also spreads pink eye awareness, which helps. It helps this world. Okay, Buccaneers at Rams. Let's move on to Buccaneers at Rams right now. This is ridiculous to me, Donnie. I want to take the Buccaneers right now at 10 points. How can they be hanging 10 points? The Buccaneers, yes, they fell apart in the second half. I can't explain how an Arians Bulls-led team would fall apart against the Giants with Daniel Jones and no Saquon. I don't know how that happened, but this is ludicrous, isn't it? You're going to give 10 points to the Buccaneers, whose defense is pretty good. Also, I lean towards the under here. Rams finally get Cooper Kupp going, great. But Tampa's defense is better than people give credit for. And Mike Evans, I don't know why Arians stopped going to him in the second half. He needs targets. This is ridiculous, Donnie. Should I take the Buccaneers +10 right now?
You know what? And it's kind of funny you bring that up because when you normally would look at this football game and just think about like maybe the past Rams, like last year's like first 8 to 10 games, you would say, man, Jared Goff's in rhythm. That offense is going to blow that defense off the field. The Giants, who don't even have very many playmakers, are able to easily in the second half move the ball up and down. But then I take a look at I almost want to say like the post-Super Bowl Jared Goff. I mean, he leaves so many plays out on the field when that offense should be a machine. Good offensive line, great running backs, great wide receivers. Why are they not just rolling up and down the field for some of these average defenses? That's what gives me pause. But you're right. Last week, Jimmy, to get back to your Tampa Bay spread, you should have won that easily. But it's just the fact that the coordinators, the offensive regime down in Tampa Bay don't trust Jameis Winston. Going back watching the film, talking about it a little bit earlier, when they had the lead with 9 minutes left versus the Giants in the second half, in the fourth quarter, they handed the football 6 straight times and ended up kicking a field goal. Then when they got the football back up 6 points, instead of saying, one first down clinches this, they run it up the middle and throw a 1-yard pass in the flat. They just don't trust Jameis Winston at this point. But this cap is not so much about Tampa Bay and what they can't do on offense. It's what actually Jared Goff can't quite do. Could they go out and blow out, what a terrible loss for the, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were in that football game. They should have won that football game. They went on the road and won a football game, second week in the season on a Thursday night football game. 10's too many points for me. And it's just because Jared Goff is leaving way too many plays out on the field, Jimmy.
I agree. And I also lean towards the under here. It's opened at 50.5, juice to the over. It's now juice to the under. Still at 50.5 at Pinnacle, 50 at these other books. What do you think of making a move on the under with the way the Rams offense looks? A lot of great comments from the chat too about like Tom Marino saying everyone's copying the Pats defensive game plan from the Super Bowl. They don't let the Rams run to the outside. What do you think of making a move on the under?
It's crazy. This game a year ago is a stone cold over for me. Like, oh man, the Rams going to rack up 35 plus points. Jameis Winston is just going to be boom or bust out there. But everything I watch from the Rams just doesn't look like they're in a hurry to score points. And when they get a lead, they just don't have enough out of Jared Goff to extend that lead. It's crazy. Never in a million years would I be looking at a Tampa Bay game versus the Rams and looking at the underside. And that's what I'm looking at here early in the week, Jimmy.
Same here. I'm looking at the Bucks plus 10 and the under. I think those are spots that should be taken advantage of. Tom Marino leaning to the under. I think I make a move on this soon. So the Buccaneers and the under, just probably need to talk it out a little bit longer, but that seems like the spot for me. Let's move on to Seahawks Cardinals. We've already heard from Pink Eyed Genie liking the Cardinals to cover. Depending on how you see these teams, because Seahawks could be 0-3. They've been underwhelming. Russell Wilson's just on an island by himself. And DK Metcalf is having trouble with press coverage. I'm not sure what DK Metcalf is going to give us moving forward. And Arizona is hung tough. I wish Patrick Peterson was here in this game. This will be the last game before he comes back from that PED suspension. But Seahawks open at -4 and quickly go to -5. And depending on people's mind, I mean, there's some people who think that the Seahawks team is much better than Arizona, but we know historically these Cardinals play the Seahawks tough, and I think 5 could be too many points. I may also just stay off this game. I don't know if I'm strong enough to trust the Cardinals even at +5. Waldos is lean Seattle, but I think this is a good game to stay away and study. Tom Marino leaning to the over in Arizona, Seattle. Donnie, right side, Seahawks, Cardinals.
I actually like the total, the total better than the side in this one. Looking at SBRodds.com right now, opening up 47, 46 is now seeing 47.5 and 48s. I think Arizona is one of those teams that just plays to the over because they're going to open up their playbook. Their quarterback's going to make mistakes, but he's going to run around and make plays while he's making mistakes. And looking from a Seattle perspective, their offense shouldn't have too much problems with moving the ball up and down the field versus Arizona. But it gets to that same point where, boy, I mean, looking at the games that they've opened up this year, don't look very good. I mean, you should have easily handled Cincinnati. You weren't able to do that. You looked embarrassingly bad at home. Now, New Orleans does have a decent defense, so there is something to be said, but they shouldn't have looked that poor last week. I think they'll be able to open it up. I can see both of these teams, Jimmy, getting into the 20s in this football game more than the side itself where you need Seattle to win by 7 points. I like the overlook in this game. I just think it plays to that well. 2 athletic quarterbacks that'll be moving the chains.
Tough spot. Allison saying Kyler Murray, a one-read quarterback. Brody saying I was on the cards last week, and I feel like I need to see Kyler Murray learn how to win in the NFL before I trust him with my money again. I think the total is the play. Coin flip at best. Allison agreeing with Brody. Allison says Pete Carroll kills these types of quarterbacks, especially rookies. Robert Weimer says methodical pounding from the Seabags. I like in the running game. If they can contain the rookie quarterback, I like the under. Farsha Sami says take the over, Jimmy. A lot of points will be scored. And Allison says Seattle wins by 10. The more I talk about this, the more I think I'm going to stay away from this game. Let's move to Vikings Bears. 75 Fahrenheit. We have scattered thunderstorms on Sunday in Chicago. So I'm going to keep an eye on the weather there. 12 miles per hour is the wind. This is a really, really low total. We have a couple very low totals, and this is the first one on the board. 38, open at 38, still at 38. Some 38.5s have found their way onto the board. Chicago opened up at -3. It's now 2.5s. There is a 3 at +100 at Bovada, if that interests you. Both quarterbacks have been terrible, and both defenses have been great. Bears best D in the league. Cousins is bad, but he's not going to make the same mistakes that Case Keenum made. I'd be shocked to see. I mean, I know that he can be a little out of control, but Case Keenum was ludicrous You just can't do that against a Bears defense. Dalvin Cook is very good. He's very good. He may be the third best running back in the league after Zeke and Saquon. Is this a spot where the Vikings upset? Do you think the Vikings have a chance to upset Chicago at home? But as soon as you say that, then you remember what Cousins' record is against winning teams. It's just terrible. Donnie, right side, Vikings, Bears.
Yeah, I mean, taking a look at this, it's simple to me. It's just a home field advantage. If this was a game that was played in Minnesota, Jimmy, I would really like Minnesota. But the fact that it's not in Minnesota, that defense is going to force Kirk Cousins into mistakes. They're a little bit banged up at wide receiver. Not their two top guns, out on the edges with Stephon Diggs and also Adam Thielen. But the third and the fourth wide receiver both went down. Dalvin Cook is a great running back. He's a big difference maker. Let's not forget, you have some of the fastest linebackers on the planet playing for Chicago. They're going to have the advantage in this football game. 3 points, I might be in it for Minnesota, but if we're going to look at 2.5, that means Minnesota's got to go on the road, and Minnesota has to win this football game versus Chicago Bears. I just can't wrap my head around it just yet. If we're getting good quarterback play, and again, last night the Bears put up some points, but still looking at overall quarterback play out of Maserati Mitch, it just doesn't give me a lot of pause to say he can go out and win a football game. This is one of these games, Jimmy, 425. I'm going to sit back, watch it, and really enjoy it. But if you're asking me early in the week, this is a straight-up coin flip for me because can I see Kirk Cousins 14 of 27 for 160 and 2 interceptions and looking befuddled? Yes. But you know what I can also see? Mitchell Trubisky doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's a tough one. We have Tomor leaning towards the under. Says Viking offenses look good only against horrible defenses, Oakland and Atlanta. Trubisky still sucks, and Vikings have seen him now. Robert Weimer saying loving the over. Turnover special from second cousins here, and Truba Bear will chime in as well. Tomino said, I'd lean Vikings, but Cousins 5 and 23 against teams above 500. Let's see what Brody said. Brody says, Vikings are the most undervalued team in the books. I feel like you have to lean Vikings +3. Everyone talking about the Chicago defense, but let's not forget how great the Vikings defense is. And Dennis Garcia says, I want to take Mini, but watching the Week 17 game against Chicago, where Chicago didn't try, and it was a win, and you're in for Mini. Mini playing so bad is stuck in his head. And Larry Savage says, Vikings win. Bears offense is so bad. Knuckles John says, Bears offense sucks. And Walla Walla Dose says, I would tease Minnesota. Walla Walla Dose liking the Vikes and the points. All right, let's move on to Jaguars Broncos. Man, can Fangio get his first win? At first, I was like, man, I kind of like the Broncos here. And then the more time I sat with it, I was like, what's going on with this Broncos defense? I mean, off season, I was like, man, going to be the Chubb and Von Miller show. They've done very, very, very little. Tough start for the season for the Broncos defense, Fangio, and the Broncos team in general. Broncos open up -3. They're still there. This total opened up at 37.5, quickly jumped up. It's now 39.5 at Heritage, 39 in some books, 38.5 at Pinnacle. Jaguars get extra days to prepare, and that's going to help. Minshew starting to gain believers. I don't know what's going on with this defense here with the Broncos. I see two inept offenses and strong defenses and think, oh, the under should be the play, but the over taking cash. Donnie, right side, Jaguars, Broncos.
Yeah, I think the Broncos get off the schneid this week, Jimmy, and get the win and the cover in this football game. And the reason why I like the Broncos, look, it's going to be tough to go to elevation. And we're still dealing with a young rookie quarterback that, look, he has played well in certain spots, but you're going to face a defense that eventually is going to start making some plays. And if you watch the football game versus Green Bay last week, Denver's defense was actually really good. Now, did they sack the quarterback with Aaron Rodgers? No, because they didn't get enough pressure on him. And Aaron Rodgers is one of the best at maneuvering. But they hit the Broncos early with a deep pass. Why? Because Aaron Rodgers does what he does on a play that looks like it's offsides. The defense stops for a second. They hit a deep playoff. Also, Joe Flacco fumbling inside of the 5-yard line, producing an easy touchdown. Then also early in the second half, you had a strip sack on a strip of a wide receiver, which gave the Green Bay Packers, again, another short advantage. If we look at the game itself, I mean, you held the Green Bay Packers to 312 yards last week. If we take a look at total plays, Denver had 73 plays to Green Bay's 52 last week. I thought they were physical on offense. I like the offensive game plan, but you can't turn the football over, and you're not going to end up beating Green Bay in Green Bay anyway. I think it's a sneaky play for Denver. I think they get off the schneid. They should have beaten the Chicago Bears, and the Chicago Bears are a much better football team than the Jacksonville Jaguars here. Give me the win and cover at home in elevation for those Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. But a lot of people in the chat liking these Jaguars. Funny Bones backing us with the Broncos. Robert Weimer says Denver's quarterback, a.k.a. Flaccid, has no spurt ability. The Jagoffs quarterback, a.k.a. Blue Chew, is all about the spurt and has the porn stash. Take the Jaguars and the point, says our Robert Weimer. I love this. Robert Weimer's great, man. I love having him in the chat. Sparks gets the excitement going. What do you think of this total going up to 39, Donnie? Does the market move make sense to you?
No, it makes no sense to me. It should be a stone cold under because Jacksonville's not going to move the football in this game with Gardner Minshew, and then Denver Broncos aren't going to light it up. They're going to play ground and pound football. We don't even know if Jalen Ramsey is going to show up to work this week, if he's going to be traded or what's going on. Nothing around the Jacksonville Jaguars I like at this point. I mean, look, Gardner Minshew's, he's fun. He's got a funny mustache, but he's also a 6th-round pick, and he's going to be a rookie going on the road in one of the toughest places to play in elevation out there in Colorado. Just doesn't set up well. A lot of people on the hot seat for Denver as is. They'll pick up the victory and win this game.
82 Fahrenheit in Denver, mostly sunny, 14 miles per hour will be the win for Fangio to get off the schneid and get his first win. Walla Walla Dos has agreed with Donnie here all around. Let's move on to Cowboys at Saints. Opened up, Cowboys minus 3.5, quickly went to 2.5. There's still 3 at Bovada. This total opened up at 45.5. Now we have 47s across the board. This is Dallas's first real test of the season. They're riding high, and I wouldn't be surprised if they believe the hype. It's possible that they could roll in too high on themselves. They still have a bad coach. New Orleans beat up Seattle in Seattle. That's no easy task. I know Seattle's not the same team that we've seen in the past, but that was impressive from New Orleans, and it's Sean Payton tailing a game plan for Bridgewater. Teddy will look better every week. Sean Payton can out-coach Garrett. I lean toward the Saints, but at 2.5, as you say, they'll have to win outright, and I don't know if I can make that move. Let's hear what Donnie RightSide has to say about this spot. Cowboys, Saints.
I love it, man. This has the same feel to me as like that, Giants-Washington Redskins game where you're trying to say, you know what? Boy, it feels right. You should be taking the Cowboys. No, Drew Brees. Look at the Cowboys. Look what they've been doing. But then again, you got to turn on the projector reel and say, all right, let's see who they played. Giants with Eli first week, absolute awful football team. Redskins on the road, don't look like they're going to be that good a football team. They win 31-21. Then they play the Miami Dolphins last week. So you can't pick a schedule. If you were a person say, you know what, I'm a Cowboys fan, I want to bet on the Cowboys. You couldn't have picked a better first 3 games for the Dallas Cowboys. Now you're going into a notoriously really hard place to play, and you want to talk about a battle-tested team. Shout out Teddy Bridgewater for holding it together last week because I was really down on this team after watching what they went through with the Los Angeles Rams and then go up to Seattle in a back-to-back road week and win that football game that convincingly. That was pretty impressive. Now coming home, and you're going to tell me the odds makers open up Dallas a 3 and it drops to 2.5. That's a stone cold line for the New Orleans Saints at this point. It's New Orleans or nobody in this football game, even though it feels like, wait a minute, Dallas just to win by a field goal versus no Drew Brees. Where do I sign up? It's going to be a fun one to watch here, but early in the week, try to make a case for those New Orleans Saints, Jimmy.
I am too. I'm trying to make a case for the Saints. Allison liking the over. Brody agrees, says total is the play game of the week, over. And then you have Walla Walla Dos saying lean Dallas, but want to go rewatch the highlights of Teddy B. Think Dallas gets after him. Under in play for sure. Dennis Garcia said Saints did nothing last week. Punt return TD, fumble return TD, scored TD on a pair of short fields. Seattle played bad last week. Nothing the Saints did. We're going to be talking a lot more about this spot when we have the Whale Capper joining us on Friday. Let's move into the Monday Nighter and put a bow on this show. Donnie RightSide, Cincinnati Bengals, Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers open up at 4.5. They're still at 4.5 at Pinnacle at plus 103. 4s everywhere. I take that back. Actually, there's also a 4.5 at BetOnline. 4s everywhere else. 83 Fahrenheit in Pittsburgh, partly cloudy, 5 miles per hour. Steelers are the only 0-3 team in the NFL. Now, Flash, who works down here, who's crushing NFL right now, he thinks this team's atrocious. I don't. I do not think they're that bad. I think they're the only 0-3 team that could possibly turn their season around. I think that they're better off without Big Ben. Maybe that's a little harsh, but, it felt like Mason was getting better every play. He was getting more confident, getting better every play. And we know how much the Steelers hate the Bengals. Steelers aren't going to let the Bengals roll. If this was a 3, I would put a heavy bet on these Steelers. But 4 or 4.5 is where it stands right now. Steelers have a strong D. Vance McDonald in a sling. Not that big of a deal to me. Bengals will put up a fight. but the Steelers need to run the ball. James Conner behind this line and control the game. Whale Capper says Flash is correct. Whale Capper jumping in again. Love seeing Whale Capper in the chat. Whale Capper not believing these Steelers. I sort of do. Allison says Steelers will kill Cincy. I think the Steelers step up. Dennis Garcia says Pitt scored 6 points off 5 San Francisco turnovers. Pitt turned the ball over twice, gave up 14 points. Yes, but that 49ers defense is very good. Much better than the Bengals defense. What do you make of this Monday nighter, Donnie RightSide, Bengals Steelers?
You know what? You look at, if you just look at the final score and you say 24-20 last week, oh man, Steelers are getting together. Mason Rudolph, he was okay in that football game. I like it. But when you really watch the tape, break it down and look at the numbers of that football game, let's just say the 49ers have their average game and turn it over 1 or 2 times. I mean, they absolutely would have detonated Pittsburgh in that football game. Look at the final numbers. Like the Steelers had 239 yards of offense in that game. The San Francisco 49ers, 436, 3 of 12 on third down. They only had 11 first downs the entire football game. So what's that led me to believe? I like the talent that you have now in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I like the move for Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think they'll be able to rush. But if you're going to give me over a field goal now, right now with the current constitution of what the Pittsburgh Steelers are about, I can't take them to win a football game by anything more than a field goal at this point. This is a complete lean early in the week me for the Cincinnati. I don't even like the Bengals at all. This is more of, boy, those Steelers, something's not clicking here. Until I see them be able to win by a touchdown or more, I can't go anywhere near it, because if that game played out the way it was supposed to in San Francisco, that should have been like 41-10 San Francisco.
Yeah, and that's what Tomer was saying. 49ers should have won by 30. I do not want the Steelers at 4, but I think we start seeing a better ball club come Monday night. This total stuck at 43.5. No movement. It actually had 2-cent move. Actually, no, that's not true. We've had a move towards the over. Sorry, at Pinnacle. Let me see exactly what we have. Yeah, we had a 3-cent move towards the over at Pinnacle. What do you think of this total? Just first looks. I know we'll talk lots more about this. Monday nighter totals at 43.5. Donnie, right side.
I actually lean towards the under in this spot. 2 division teams, they know each other well, and also you're talking about teams that just need to win the football game. You think Pittsburgh's at, in their offense and say, hey man, we got to get out of here. We got to get like 35 points. No, they're just worried about winning a football game, tightening up their defense, trying to keep the turnovers under wraps. Right now, 43.5. That's a really low number, but I can see them playing close. Look at last week, 17-14, the Buffalo Bills game. I can see both of these teams just playing field position and saying, I'm not going to make the mistake first in this one.
Yeah. I'm going to take some time with this Monday night. We'll have Whale Capper joining us live on Friday. I did lock in a couple looks. I did lock in a couple bets here. These are the plays that I locked in. The over 53.5 at -114 in Kansas City, Detroit, and close to locking in that under in the Bills game. I have not done that. The other move that I locked in, where is it? Show your face. Is that the only play I locked in? I thought I locked in more than that. Here I have the under 44.5 in the LA Chargers Dolphins game. Those are the 2 plays that I've locked in, but I'm close to making some other moves. This is exciting. I need to get back on track. I was very uncomfortable about coming into work on Monday after the disgrace I had Sunday in NFL, and I'm just chomping at the bit. I just want another chance. And just watching Whale Capper hit 6 in a row, I know that I can get back in action, and I plan to. I plan to get back in action. Plan to get plus units before week 10. How about that? Before week 10, I'd like to be plus units. What a horrifying record I'm sitting at right now. Donnie RightSide, my friend, we have a couple more days of study before we have our big Friday show at 4 p.m. Eastern. We have no show without the great cappers in the chat. It means the world to us. Not only are you insightful, but also lots of fun and very humorous. Thank you for all that you do. We have no show without you guys. Donnie RightSide, any last words to the great cappers in the chat and the SBR fans watching at home?
Absolutely, man. Information is king. And you see Jimmy a little bit struggling with his record there. I'm not happy where I'm at right now. I know Whale Capper's not happy, but you know what happens? Good information brings on good victories here, because as long as the information is flowing, that's what it is. When you took at the chat box, going back and forth, seeing tips come across. I read the chat box religiously. I watch a lot of shows with SBR and go, you know what? Dude just made a really good point right now. So don't just look at us as, giving the information across. We use the chat box just as much as we use each other, because people out there have knowledge and we love to use it. And yes, There's no show. There's no sportsbook review. Jimmy's not doing his shows. I'm not doing my shows here unless we get the support from the good people in the chat box. Whale Capper joins us on Friday. We're going to have a hell of a show. Hopefully we can go 18-0 between our picks, which would be beautiful here in the Pick Six contest. But information is king in this business. This show gives out a lot of good information, and so does the chat box, Jimmy. What a season we're going to have here. Don't worry about your record this early.
I am extremely worried. I'm so worried. I'm so worried. I can't sleep, Donnie. I need to turn it around this week. Lardy locked in 2 spots on this card. Thank you guys so much. Nutflushan says, don't take it the wrong way, but Kristen said she likes listening to Donnie the best. We will not take it the wrong way. We love Kristen, whomever she likes best. It's all good. We are a team here. We are a team. Much love to all you guys in the chat. Let's get after it. Let's get after it. Let's have a big week. And the Thursday nighter, we won't have time to talk about again because Friday's our next show, but Donnie liking to fade his Eagles, and he did it last week with success and going back to the well there. We will see you guys very soon. My show, Betting with the Bag, pops off in 20 minutes. And we will see you on Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern alongside Whale Capper. On behalf of Donnie RightSide and myself and everybody at SBR, thank you guys so much for watching. Let's have a big week. Talk to you guys soon.